When you get ready to go on camera, you thought about what you're going to wear, you thought about your background, you might have gotten your lighting set up, you have your camera already or your web camera, and you thought about the message you're sharing, what points you're going to make. You might have had a sticky note to the side to make sure you don't forget anything. You're all prepared, but then you hit the record button, you've started that webcast, and now you think, what do I do with my hands? I don't know where to look. What should I do with my body language to elevate my message? Well, this video is going to share with you just that. I'm going to dive into body language and share you top 3 tips on how you can really elevate your message with your body language. Hi, I'm Meaghan Corson. I work with executives and professionals to map out their video strategy and look great on camera. And I want to dive into body language because so many times we thought about how we're going to look and our sound. We picked out our outfit, we set up our lighting, our camera, our web camera, we made sure our background is nice and clear and concise, and we thought about our message. We know exactly what we are going to say. We've done some practice so that way we don't ramble on. But then you think about, how am I going to use my body language to elevate my message? What should I do with my hands? When does it make sense to turn or look certain directions? Where should I be looking the whole time when I'm on video? I want to dive into those aspects here. I'm going to share with you the top 3 tips on how you can really elevate your body language, your expressions, when it comes to stepping in front of the camera. This is part 3 of a 3-part series focused on your video brand. I've already covered your look and your sound, and now we're going to dive into your expressions, which is your body language. So let's dive in on how you can use your body language when you go in front of the camera. So in general, you want to make sure that you are doing everything with purpose. Just like when you thought about what you're going to wear, how you set up your background, the messaging, the phrases that you're going to be sharing with your video, you've all thought about those in advance. And you have to do the same thing when it comes to your body language. So tip number 1 is to ensure that your movement matches your message. What do I mean by this? Whatever you're saying, you want to make sure whatever movement you're bringing to it makes sense. So you don't want to have your arms just up and moving around all over the place because that can be distracting, and also it just doesn't have a point to it. Now, if you're like me, where you just naturally want to use your hands, then embrace it. It's just a matter of kind of toning it down. I know for myself, I'm Italian, so moving my hands, being very expressive is normal for me. So I personally have to reel it back a little bit to use my body language. And if you don't naturally move a lot, just bring a little bit more movement. You don't want to have just your arms at the side like this and to just speak to the camera and to not really engage with your audience in a more welcoming way like that, because you just want people to feel comfortable. You want it to feel as in-person and lifelike as possible, because again, our goal is to help people forget the screen is even there, whether they're watching you on a video conferencing call or clicking on a video on YouTube. We want to try to cut through that clutter and to help us feel closer together. That's what we want to do. We want to mimic those in-person interactions. So when we're in person, whether you're at a business meeting, a networking event, we naturally use our body language. We naturally behave a certain way to welcome people. So here are some examples where you can use your movement to match your message. So what you can do is, let's say if you're talking about a timeline, you can talk about going from point A to B, C, all the way down to Z. Just moving your hands from one side to the other of the screen really helps. And you want to make sure that you are keeping in mind how people are receiving it. So I have to flip it to go from this side to this side, even though I want to go this way when it comes to sharing that. So you have to always remember about how people are receiving it. Now, another way that you can use body language simply to match your message is, let's say if you're talking about a big, grand idea, open your arms wide out and large kind of conveys that idea of grandness, of something being vast and large, and then moving your hands inward when you're conveying about going to a specific point, a specific message. That can help convey that image you're sharing, to kind of illustrate in a way. There's plenty of ways you can use movement to match your message. You can reference different things in your environment. Let's say you're using props. You've seen me in other videos mention how I cover your video brand, just like I am in this series. So I have this sign right here. So me gesturing to this your video brand sign here is something that makes sense to use my body language to bring people in. So keep those in mind. You can really get creative with it. And of course, when it comes to doing that movement, it goes on to tip number 2, which is to keep the framing in mind. This is so important because if you aren't thinking about what your camera is actually capturing within the frame, then your movement doesn't feel as elevated as it could be. So, for example, when I was giving that example of conveying a big, grand idea, I might have wanted to move my arms really big and wide, but that would have been out of the frame and that would have looked odd and wouldn't have been as strong with the message. So I purposely had to make sure I moved my arms just to the edges of the video frame. So you have to do this by making sure that you can be aware of what your framing is. What I personally like to do if I'm recording with a DSLR camera, just like I am for this video, I like to have the what you call a viewfinder. It's a screen that you can kind of just flip over in your camera so that way you can see it. So that way on the side, the corner of my eye, I can see my body, I can see how I'm in the camera screen, but I'm still focusing on the lens to connect with you. And that moves on to my final tip number 3, which is to create that virtual eye connection. It is so important to do this because, again, this is mimicking that in-person interaction. When you're focused in that important conversation with a client, with a colleague, you are looking directly in their eyes. And that's what you want to do with the camera lens or the web camera. You want to look directly into the lens because those are the eyeballs of your audience, your viewers who are listening to you and watching this video. So when you are using your body language, you want to make sure that you're always welcome and inviting, but always you want to focus in on eye connection. This to me is something that is easier said than done. A lot of us find it unnatural to look into a camera lens or a web camera lens, and we want to really look at that screen when someone's appearing below it, or it's just hard to really focus on something that isn't human, isn't natural to us. But when you get used to it and focus on that, it makes it so much easier to connect and really does resonate well in your videos. Now, there are some instances where it might make sense to look somewhere else, might not look at to the camera lens, but if you are connecting with an audience directly, if you are speaking to them, you are giving a presentation, you are having a video call conversation with them, then you really do need to look into the camera lens or the web camera lens. Now, sometimes some of us feel like we need a little bit of eye relief, so to speak, from looking at the lens directly or at the web camera lens. So I want to share with you a couple opportunities where it makes sense to give yourself that. So let's say in this video I'm conveying a big idea, I'm brainstorming something, and I'm just that's when it might make sense where you kind of look to the side and just think, imagine if you were just relieving all the stress and using video to just kind of its full potential. How would that feel? So because I was talking about a big idea, looking to the side can kind of work for it. I personally prefer to look at the camera lens the entire time, unless if I'm specifically speaking and pointing to something next to me or behind me. But I'm also used to being in front of the camera, and I understand that sometimes you need that eye relief. So when you find that challenging, I just would get creative with how you can give that to yourself. And then sometimes just a matter of just practicing when it comes to a video conferencing call, or let's say you're conducting an interview or you're being interviewed for a video call, you want to make sure that you are looking at the web camera lens the entire time when you're speaking, and then when the other person is speaking or reacting to what you're asking or what you're saying to them, then that's when it makes sense to look at them. But you want to make sure that you're glancing at the web camera lens and then at the person on your screen, because you want them to feel like you're engaged, and looking at them as a great way to really show your on-camera presence is really elevated compared to others, and it just makes you come off as more professional. And all these little things kind of add together in a subconscious way of just really showing that you are confident and you know what you're doing when it comes to going in front of the camera. So those are some 3 easy tips when it comes to embracing your video brand, when it comes to your expressions. In the previous videos, I've already covered your look and your sound. Make sure to check out those videos if you haven't already. It's really important to be able to tie all these together because, again, it's all about building your video brand, which is your on-camera presence, to make sure that you are really elevated and connecting with your audience when you go in front of the camera. And the great thing is that this translates well with all aspects of going in front of the camera, whether it's for a web conferencing call or going in front of the camera when you're creating a video blog like I am with this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it really helpful. I'm excited for you to really apply these tips and techniques I've shared with you. Make sure to check out the whole series of this, your video brand series, 3 parts: your look, sound, and expressions. And I want you to really apply them and dive right in. If you found this video helpful, please share this with your colleagues and friends, because I really want to help everyone embrace their video brand and really elevate their on-camera skills. And I want to leave you with this. Using body language is a great way to elevate your on-camera presence. Make sure your movement matches your message. Feel free to tweet that. Thank you again for watching this. This is another Mondays with Meaghan. I share videos with you every Monday on my YouTube channel and my website, and I would love for you to be able to use other tips and tricks I share with your other videos. So feel free to check out my other videos. I have so many that I cover. I cover on how setting up your camera to look great, how to dive into your lighting, how to make that background look great. I really like to use these videos as a way of kind of mini training sessions for you. And if you're interested in even more information like this, feel free to contact me directly. I love being on LinkedIn. You can connect with me at Meaghan Corson on LinkedIn, or reach out to me on my website on meaghancorson.com. I'm here to help you and your team be successful with video and accomplish your business goals using video is one of the many ways you can make your marketing, your internal communications goals really sing. So thank you again for watching this. I'm excited to share with you again next time.